Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Brett Allan Show, a pop culture podcast where we interview your favorite actors from film and television, music, comedy, and more. Wherever pop culture is, you will find us there hanging out. And today we have another amazing guest on the show. We're talking Hightown, which is slated to debut season 2 on October 17th on STARZ. And we are talking with one of the stars from this amazing show, Jona Xiao. Welcome into the podcast. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Brett.
Yes. Well, there's a tale of multiple conversations here because if anybody watched Raya on Disney Plus, you were a part of that fantastic film. My 7-year-old and I enjoyed that. We can watch that together, but not this one.
Hightown is less family friendly than Raya.
Yeah,
for sure.
Less is an understatement, but it's still a great show. It's what we watch when he goes to bed. So you are a part of this amazing project. And again, as I mentioned, season 2 is slated to debut on the 17th. Let's talk about your character in the show. I've seen season 1 and have obviously not seen season 2, but let's talk about your connection with the project and how you became involved.
Sure. So I originally self-taped. It was during the pandemic. So I self-taped. And then I ended up doing a chemistry read with Louis Guzman, since I ended up playing his girlfriend, among other things, on the show. So during the chemistry read, it got a little steamy. I felt some chemistry. Yeah. And Louis was fantastic. What?
I said that happens. That's
good.
Yeah.
Like there's just like some sexual tension and across the Zoom sphere. And Luis is a fantastic actor and gave me a lot to work with. And yeah, I guess they read, there's 2 actresses. I don't know who the other actress is that did the chemistry read. And I was fortunate enough to end up playing Daisy on the show. So Daisy she works at the nightclub run by Renee and Frankie. She gets entangled with Luis Guzman's character, Jorge, who is Frankie's cousin. And so Jorge is kind of like a charming psychopath. And I play his girlfriend. And so we both stir up quite a bit of trouble across the season.
That is quite the understatement. And Luis Guzman, of course, is just amazing in anything he does, whether it's comedy or drama. I mean, it's like, it's always on, so to speak.
Yes.
There's more to him than Adam Sandler movies by far, by chance.
His mind works so quickly. He's so creative. He always like improvised at the end of pretty much every scene, something new. And so it really kept me on my toes and it was really fun to work opposite him. Yeah.
And you're fantastic. You've been a part of so many amazing projects, whether it's The Flash or The Gifted, Infinite Darkness, like there's just a lot to what you do and a lot of range. So I'm very curious when it comes to creating and then there's Disney. So I'm interested to find out, and I ask all my actors this question, like when it comes to doing such like a wide range of projects, when you are presented with the script, like what is your process to get into the character? Because I mean, again, you've just done a lot of different things and a lot of different characters, and it's hard to sort of compare them all together other than just you've done amazing work.
Thank you. So what there are some nuances, but generally what I try to do is like take on like, okay, I am this character. So I am Daisy, and what do I do? What are my circumstances? Like, what is the world? And like, what is my point of view of the world? So I really work on developing that strong point of view of how my character sees the world and how do I interact with people? Like, what do I think about this person and that person? With Daisy in particular, it was definitely very much like mental, emotional, and physical prep. So I'm not someone who usually wears high heels, and Daisy is a stripper that is very comfortable with high heels. So I just, in my everyday life, I just started like wearing stilettos all the time and just getting used to like moving in a way that me as Jonah doesn't naturally move. And there was the emotional prep of the character. And then I the production hired a lap dance teacher to work privately with me.
Interesting.
But yes, but it was during pandemic times. So we had to go to my nearby park where I ended up in a bikini, lap dancing with a giant plush reindeer.
Interesting. The thing,
Mhm.
I think my job's weird. That, I mean, that's crazy.
People walking around the park, they're like, what is happening over there? And I was like doing all these fancy tricks and like trying to flip, and it was a lot of fun. But
it's another typical day in Los Angeles, I guess.
Right. This guy came over and he was like, hey, if you need a volunteer, I'm happy to sit for the dance. And I'm like, thank you, but no, thank you.
That's like, I have to say, one of the most fascinating stories I've heard for an actress to prepare for a role. But I get it. I mean, that's the thing. Like when we watch this stuff on television, it's like appealing to the eye. But what I think a lot of people don't understand is that it's like coordinating a fight scene. Like it's not just like people up here being ridiculous. It's a lot of hard work. I have the opportunity, and I say this just as a point, to work as an extra for a lot of shows when I lived in New Mexico and do stand-in work and things. And like when you're in a scene like that at a strip club or a nightclub, it can be very arduous work, like it's a very long day. There's millions of people standing around, and it's like not as exciting as someone might think, because it's just, there's a lot happening in the scene, and there's a lot of stopping and starting and choreographing and just a lot of things happening. So it really is artistic work, because it's not easy for anybody to have to do something like that anyway, but then to have a film crew and other things happening along the way, it's a lot of work. And so what we see on TV is just a small snapshot, so to speak, of the amount of training that goes into putting a character together like this. 100% for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So, and it's a lot of prep by everyone, and it was definitely worthwhile, but it was something that I didn't want to go into lightly. I wanted to feel really prepared and just have fun and be on set and play.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see how season 2 prevails, and we get that here very soon.
Yes.
So when you're not doing things like, national U.S. women's flag football and all of that sort of thing, that's okay. It's interesting. I talked to an actress the other day, and to pay for college, she did amateur fight club, basically.
That's so crazy. That's badass.
It is. It was very, very cool. But you have this program where you help other actors career activate, capital ACT. And it's a company that you founded to help other actors get reputable work and reputable representation. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, good research. Thank you. So for many years in my career, acting was a very expensive hobby. I got scammed. I didn't know what I was doing. And I think we as artists, like we focus so much on the artistic side and not enough on the business side. And I started then working on the business side of the industry, like in casting, representation, film festivals, like working on that side, producing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I see what a lot of artists are missing when it comes to really building a business and being a working actor. So I started teaching many years ago. And at this point, we've helped thousands of actors from new to Emmy winning, create some really great career breakthroughs. So for me, I think two of my highest values when it comes to work is impact and fun. So I really love getting to do both, the work with other actors through Career Activate as well as acting. So yeah, I'm very grateful and very lucky for sure.
Yeah, and that's great, because it's very easy for someone to be scammed when they come to LA for the first time.
All over there, those scams anywhere, are all over the world.
It doesn't matter. Like I see these things on Facebook, where it's like pay $1,000 and we'll get you on the next Disney Channel show. And it's like, why would somebody send us pictures of your kids, and it's like, I could see the appeal, because what you do is so different than what most people do for a job. And it's very, we see the glitz and the glamour, or we think we do. And it's like all the hard work, fiscal responsibility, or, getting the right auditions or whatever. So it's great, especially an actress like yourself who has had success, markable success, and has done things.
Thank you.
So you
has been through the trenches and made all the mistakes that I want to help other people avoid.
And that's great, because I don't know if there's a lot of that exists out there. I know of a couple things. There's other actors that I've had the honor of talking to who help people along the way and that aren't out to just like get money to, extort somebody who has a dream that wants to pursue the passion, but doesn't know how to go about it. Because that's the other piece of what you do is we see it, but there's like not a ton of steps necessarily to help get somebody along the way. What do you do when you get the first paycheck for $5,000? Do you invest it in yourself, or what do you do? Once you get a reoccurring role on a television show, there's not a lot of help out there because there's a lot of seedy things.
Unfortunately,
the industry is amazing, but it can also be a very deceiving thing as well if you don't know what you're doing. So we have Hightown coming out, all the other amazing projects that you have been a part of. As we wrap this conversation up, along the way, what are some great pieces of advice that you have been given that have helped you along the way, that have helped you stand the test of time in this crazy world that you're a part of?
Sure. So I always say there's the guaranteed formula for success in this business is just a matter of A, B, and C. So what are those things? A is A-game mentality, B is business know-how, and C is craft. So, for myself, and I encourage this of other actors too, is like, if you're not where you want to be just yet, take a look at those A, B, and C's and see which one or which ones you could really work on. So, the mindset is a huge piece. I think there is definitely a period, luckily, like the coaches on my Career Activate team helped me move past it, but there was a period where I just lacked confidence in myself to be able to play a larger role in a TV show or film. I'm like, I don't know, I'm not good enough, I'm not interesting enough. And those are things that I had to work through, like those insecurities, because if I bring those in with me to auditions, it's not going to go well. So it's like that A-game mindset of really figuring out how to be persistent, follow through, take accountability, and then the business know-how, like understanding how to build relationships in this business, how to get a great team, how to the business side. And then of course your craft, which is so important, so that when you're on set, when you're in audition rooms, you feel comfortable, confident delivering. So that's something that I always go back to, like if I ever feel stuck. And it also, I love the idea that if there's something you don't have, it just means there's something you don't know. That's it. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because you're not this enough or that enough. It just means there's a piece of information missing, or there's an area of growth that you can experience. Because I think for a long time, I've battled with addiction and all sorts of things in my life. I used to see myself as broken, that I was a broken person that needed to be fixed. And that was the wrong approach. That really, we have all the resources inside of us that we need to succeed. So whatever career you're in, like there's nothing in the top performing person in your field that's not in you already. You just might need some support accessing it.
Yes, I always say success leaves clues.
Yes.
If you're seeing somebody do something that's successful, chances are they have left a clue behind.
And you can model some of the actions that they take, or the way they approach it. Absolutely. And find a way to do that for yourself and personalize it.
Yeah, that's, how I started this podcast and have had success is just, what are other people doing?
Yes.
What are other people, what steps are they taking? And if you can just find that out, we live in a world with a lot of resources at our fingertips. And of course, your organization that you have started as well. Again, we'll link all of this in our show notes. Be sure to check out Hightown Season 2 on October 17th on STARZ. We've been chatting with Jona Xiao. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brett.